Now, another approach with destruction is one of the big things. A lot of people that play destruction don't exactly understand how to maximize in an AoE situation. They think, oh, throw a rain of fire in there and all is good, and just start casting incinerates. No, there's a little bit of strategy behind it. That's what Brimstone's all about. Fire and Brimstone, basically, that's a key element to learning destruction's finer points of how to pop off AoE DPS. Along with another little tidbit that you should know is basically, a lot of people don't know that Curse of Elements, its GCD substantially extremely fast in Destruction, and is only that fast in Destruction. It's not that fast in Affliction or as in Destro. You know, in Demo you can pop an ability and you can put it to all targets, but this is really, really fast. So I'm going to give you an idea as to just how fast it is. We'll just start off with that target. And basically what you can see is I'm casting it super fast, and it's, you know, it's going to be on those targets that I've been targeting. Timing is everything, but essentially you can in fact get 90% of the targets that, if you're AoEing in a heroic dungeon, all the targets will have it, especially when the tank collapses the targets into one spot and you just tap target and you just keep hitting it like hell. But you're going to want a primary target, so when you get on the primary target, it could be the boss, or it could be the one that the, you know, let's see, like the tank is on, or it could be on somebody else. I prefer a target that is not on a tank, because usually if the tank is good, then you don't have to worry about it. But the reason for that is because to maximize your DPS, another tidbit that a lot of people don't realize is that your burst class, the idea of being able to do the maximum amount of damage is that you're dipping into the life pool of the target, and whereas not many people are. You want to maximize your DPS. That is essentially what you're going to do. Unfortunately, you just need to learn how to control it to some degree. One of the things that you could use, you could obviously do all these abilities, but I'm going to go baseline rotation. These targets have elements on it, so basically you're just going to do, you're going to do that, immolate, and then you're going to put this on because it does 50% more when all targets are immolated. Then you just do your Tuka flags, start spamming your incinerate, and just make sure everything is still going. You'll have your amber still going, so you drop. You can just continue the rotation and just keep going, and make sure your flags are completely on cooldown. You're not going to burn through crazy amounts of mana while doing AoE. Another little tidbit you can do to maximize even more damage while you're doing that is to just make sure you pop off a Havoc on a target and then tab over to another target and cast your Chaos Bolt. Or Incinerate, like you just saw. It's not going to do... that's another thing that you should obviously see as well. When you do Havoc, you read it, it says it's your next Chaos Bolt or 3 other single target spells cast by the Warlock to also strike this target. To really maximize the DPS, you actually wanted to do it with Chaos Bolts. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. The Chaos Bolt is going to duplicate, and you're going to hit really freaking hard. All the while you're doing this AoE, you will find that you're doing a substantial amount of obscene damage, and if you've ever seen any locks in your dungeons doing crazy damage, then this is generally what they are doing. This is what you need to do in order to maximize that output. And that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mob pool. Obviously these are 85 targets, but I have seen these numbers in AoE pools myself on level 90 plus mobs. So this will work. You do this and you just constantly keep going. Obviously you can drop your Infernal to do more damage, pop that, do all this crazy stuff. I save all those cooldowns for boss so I can really rip them to shreds. Alright. Now I got a Paladin to give me a buff, mastery buff. You'll see this in Raid as well. With Destro and Affliction, when it comes to reforging, you can do 3,000 or a little higher is where you want to be at for the next, for Affliction it would be for the next tick for UA. And you can get away with this as well in Destro, so you don't ever have to really forge anymore, other than getting new pieces from Raid and then just making sure the stat weights from Reforged Light will always stay the same, and it'll configure with every new piece of gear you get, just as long as you stay above 3,000 haste rating. With this mastery buff that I just received, I'm pushing almost 7,200 mastery, which is basically almost another 21% between my Immolate, Incinerate, Fell Flame, and Conflagrate. Burning Amber spells are almost 60%, so and you will also get it from Shadowburn, but you don't see it until 20% of the health of a boss, or trash mobs for that matter. Alright, now I'm going to give you a little demonstration as to what single target rotation would be for Destro. I mean, obviously you're going to start with elements, then you're going to beef it out with Dark Soul, Doomguard. I do have potions which I will use, so I can give you a close estimation as what you will be pushing with an item level of 472 in the stats that you see that I have on my character screen. Alright, so basically pop that, and do your 2 of these. Get that in there for staple DPS, start incinerating, and watch your ambers. When you get about 2 or more, start dropping your Chaos Bolts. I'm also looking for Yulong, and Yulong is there, so I will choose my rotation to start incorporating my 2 Chaos Bolts in there, because I'm going to jump my DPS a little higher. My staple DPS is on down for rotation, which is my Rain of Fire. Make sure those are going. I'm almost 90,000 damage. Make sure it's still going. As you do see, my mana is starting to get low, but I'm waiting for the Amber to fill up so I can still fill in with my Chaos Bolt. Once it gets there, I drop it in there. I did drop in DPS, but I'm still 80. Once it gets in there, it'll bump me back up to 80, and that's the idea behind continuous rotation. I still have my Doomguard, and I still have my Backdrafts going. That minimizes your actual mana usage from Incinerates. And that's the idea. One of the things I was going to bring up with you guys is that you're also going to have to really understand the stat weights behind a lot of sites, a lot of places, information spots. It's really hard to dig through trying to find this information for Destro, Affliction, demo, and all this other stuff. Essentially, you know, get a nice little program like Reforged Light. I really recommend it. It's a great little mod. But one of the things you'll have a hard time finding is trying to find the proper stat weights. Now, it's obviously going to be varied depending on your gear level. But look, I mean, a lot of people aren't running any higher than 470 and higher. But this is to get a good general idea behind someone who has a good amount of gear already, and what they need to know. For one, little information I come across forum-wise is that you don't exactly have to be entirely hit capped in order to really push out a crazy amount of damage. You could still be at a 0.5. I try to recommend being 0.8 or 0.5 or lower on a 93 boss, because then it will start to significantly show up that your damage is going to suffer. One of the big things that will increase your damage is, you know, pop down the haste window, make it manual, make sure it's at 3,000 cap value. And then when you put in your stat weights, you put your hit for 90, crit for 78, 176, and 166 for mastery. As you can see, I'm at 3,000 haste rating and 1 point just over. Now, what that translates into is this, in fact, is the haste cap for the Unstable Affliction extra tick that you will want to hit. You want to try to achieve this based on at least in or around a 472 item level. You can play with hit a little bit. As you can see, I am kind of doing that because I want to maximize as much mastery as I possibly can to get out. Mind you, I still have that Paladin's buff, but ultimately this is what the most primary buff that you would want outside of all the other schmagma that you would get for a Warlock. As it stands, 3,000 is the extra tick for UA, and for Destro, it's not high enough to, from my understanding, to receive the extra tick for Immolate, but that's not so much a big deal. I haven't totally investigated that, but it's basically a nice baseline so that if you're bouncing back and forth between Destruction and Affliction as the two primary specs as opposed to Demo, and you're not really interested in doing Demo, Demo, in fact, is a pretty good viable build. So isn't Destro, but that's why I'm actually creating this video, so that you guys can see that Destro is in fact viable. You just have to know how to do it. One of the things I like to do is be a 3000 haste rating. Crit is obviously affected by the multiplier for Chaos Bolt. Your modifier, but you always will critical with your Chaos Bolt, but it's increased based off your critical strike chance, percentage-wise. It's not actually saying in the verbiage the damage is increased by your critical strike chance, not actually the crit rating. That means by, well, if I'm already at 12.5%, it's saying 12.5% more damage from Chaos Bolt. So that's basically as simple as that. Those are the stat ways you'll want to have in or around about the gear level, and that should give you basically as tweaked as you possibly can get in or around this gear set. Take that, use it, test it out. You will be very happy with the results.